Okay, everyone. Welcome tonight, everyone. It's so good to see everyone here. Welcome to everyone who's new to the space as well. So we'll begin, of course, by, if you have any prayer requests or aspirations and so forth, please go ahead and put that into the chat box there. And of course, any questions go into the question box separately that you may find on your screen. And also, welcome to those who are new in the space. If you're new, please go ahead and introduce yourself and we can welcome you. If you're new, if you have any prayer requests that we can offer, please do so. Of course, we can always, this is optional. So if you have any prayer requests or anything, of course, that can be something that you keep for yourself and offer in the practice as we go along. We do have some new people coming in. Some people. And tonight we'll do, I think, maybe a slightly longer practice as well, like the old days. So. And so the practice, for those of you who are new, this is all a guided practice. And so just a matter of just kind of sitting and just kind of moving along to some of the things I'm offering. Every week it's a little different. So I have a fun one for us tonight to do as well. But of course, there's the kind of the original practice that we began with. You can find that on our website, on my website, or Bhumi Sparsha website as well. And I think that maybe I might do that once a month, go back to that original text and do that once a month. We'll see, just in case. But there is a video, a practice video with that text too. So you'll have that as well. So again, everyone go ahead and start placing any prayer requests into the chat box there. And all the mantras will be placed in the box as we need them. So we'll do our two mantras, which is Om Minla Sangye Kino Soha, and then the main mantra Teata, the Teata mantra. And that will appear in the chat box. The Shantideva's prayer at the very end of our practice. Okay. So there it is there, so Om Minla Sangye Kino Soha is a practice is a mantra that comes out of my practice. The Buddha didn't chant Om Minla Sangye Kino Soha and so forth. But Lama Rod does, and so there we go. I'm not saying that I'm a Buddha or the Buddha, Um, I'm saying the mantra works for me, so that's why I share it. And then Tia Tao Bacon Say Ma Bacon Say Lasu Sulungate Soha, which is the main mantra from Medicine Buddha as well. And of course, we've been focusing on prayer for, I guess, this whole year so far. It's really just trying to understand how prayer functions in our practice. There's so many ways to think about prayer. We've been examining different aspects of prayer. But one aspect of prayer, maybe I haven't mentioned this and I don't remember, is that, we're supplicating, or we're connecting to our higher consciousness, this higher consciousness, which is just, the basic, most authentic essence of wisdom, of clarity itself. It's prayer, this kind of supplication aligns us with that really the highest state of our minds, the highest of highest consciousnesses. It's like sitting within that complete spaciousness and openness. Space is the reality of everything. Space and emptiness riding together, breathing together. And that's a little new in my kind of teaching. But the new, this kind of new thing that I'm working on is understanding space and emptiness, and how to relate to that, how to move into a deeper relationship with these qualities, which, well, it's more than just quality. It's just a matter of reality. It's the reality of things, space and emptiness. I think I use space to really talk about emptiness. Emptiness is one thing, but emptiness is the nature of things. So space is like it. I want to talk with space. I want to get into the boundlessness of things, and I want us to move into that boundlessness, and I want us to be uncomfortable. And I don't want us to be uncomfortable for the hell of it, but it's the discomfort that suggests that our fixation to ego is being challenged by expansiveness, because the ego can't survive space and expansion. It definitely can't survive emptiness, but like the expansion, right? The ways in which we're moving from a state of contraction and shutting down, like being clenched, right? The fists being clenched, moving from a state of clenchedness into a state of expansion, of openness. And we're going to do a meditation. We're going to do a practice to work on this, which I don't think I've done here in this space, but to move, how do we move from this kind of contraction, shutting down, tightness, to an opening and expansion? How do we work with and negotiate the discomfort that arises from that expansion? Why is it uncomfortable? It's uncomfortable, because we've so identified with the ego, and the ego is nothing but contraction and shutting down. So when you're trying to, I also use the word relax. So we're trying to expand and relax. I don't like to use the word relax, because then, most of us don't know how to relax. Honestly, so we get real confused. Not that you don't get confused when I tell you to expand. So, it's a matter of words and wordplay. But anyhow, moving into expansion, right, means that we have to confront this fixation to ego. And that's really uncomfortable because we know the ego. What's another? It's like, I don't know if you've ever gone skydiving before. And so when you go so I haven't been skydiving, but I've seriously contemplated it. You go skydiving, it's like you jump out the plane, and what I've heard from others who've done is that then you fall into this intense space. You're in this spaciousness, and the thing is that you have to let go into the spaciousness, but it's terrifying because like you're falling out of a plane. Like you're like, I don't know how many thousands of feet in the air, you know, and you have this cloth on the back of on your back, which is a parachute, and that's gonna like come out and anyhow. The more I think about it, the more I don't want to do it. But like you step out into the space and you have to let go. Or the other example that I used before is being on a roller coaster. Like often, most like classic roller coasters, like you start with a ascent up, so you go up an incline because you're building momentum. So you get to the top of this incline, and then you're going over the peak there. And of course, as you come down, you're looking all the way down at this drop, and that intense fear that we experience when we're about to go down that drop. That's part of the fun, but it's also part of the science of a roller coaster as well. To build that momentum to propel you through the rest of the track. But we need to fall into that openness, right? And that falling into the openness actually creates momentum that fuels further expansion. And and it's also it's disorienting as well. Space is very disorienting. There's nothing to hold on to, and so that's why in Mahamudra we're using space and emptiness itself as an anchor for our meditation. And you say, how can that be an anchor? Well, it's mingling awareness within this expansiveness and this emptiness. That's the anchor. Right? So you're being in this expansion, this emptiness. So I have prayer requests. Just let me find those. All right. So I'm going to start, go to the very top of the prayer request. So let's go ahead and start moving into our practice, and I'll get to, and then eventually I will start incorporating the prayer requests as well. Okay. So just remember or reference Om Manla Sangye Kino Soha. So that's going to be our first mantra that we're going to eventually start with. Okay, so as we begin, just allow yourself to come into a position that feels appropriate for practice. And let's begin by just turning our minds to your intentions. And in our intentions, just reflecting on why you're practicing and who you're practicing for. And as always, as we move through the practice, I really encourage you to take care of yourself. And as we move through everything, whenever we need to take a break, please take a break. Um, please be, just, just sensitive, cautious as to what your capacity is for practice and certain kinds of practice. We do move through a lot of different things through energies and breath, right, visualizations. So there's a lot of things happening. And so just always remember, that that you can go at your own pace, move at your own pace. Okay. So if you have the capacity tonight, I invite you to shift your attention to your breath. Just beginning to notice the in breath and the out breath. And for most of us, our breath seems choppy, it seems short, and that's anxiety, that's fear. If you can, I invite you to just begin to deepen the breath. Just taking our time to inhale, taking our time to exhale. A nice slow inhale, a slow exhale. Of course, as we are breathing in this manner, we begin to connect and to uncover just all kinds of energies, thoughts, emotions. We can notice them, we can name them, and we can just kind of let them go. Just let them, in my mind, I imagine just letting these energies float into the space of my mind and just coming back over and over again to the breath, noticing the breath, using the breath as an anchor. Letting your breath begin to breathe you. So many of us have had a long day, we've had a long year, we've had long decades, whatever it may be. So in this moment, let the breath take care of you by allowing it to gently hold your attention. So the breath as an anchor is taking care of you. So let the breath again breathe you. So, going a little further with the breath, imagining that we are inhaling into any experience of discomfort that we're noticing in our bodies or in our minds. Breathing to that experience, imagining that the in breath begins to dissolve that experience. And then we, at the exhale, breathe that discomfort out. So as we breathe that out, really in our mind, just saying, I'm letting this go. I'm letting this move through my experience and out of my experience. So breathing in, dissolving, exhaling, letting go, offering out. Just a few more breaths here. And offering out. And now we're transitioning to our first mantra, Minla Sangye Kino Soha, which just means medicine Buddha, please think of me, please know me, please remember me, please look at me. But it's just calling the energy of medicine Buddha, of Minla Sangye, into the space. We're evoking that energy, or we're activating the wisdom, conscious energy of this particular deity. This particular deity is, on one hand, an expression of our highest consciousness. There's also energy around us waiting to be awakened through mantra, through our awareness as well. So we'll begin, and just noticing the shift of energy in the space around you or within your own body as we begin to chant. Om Minla Sangye Kino Soha. All right? We'll begin. Om Minla Sangye Kino Soha. 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 I'm just noticing whatever there is to notice about the energy maybe that has shifted around you. And just telling ourselves that the spirit, consciousness, the mind of Medicine Buddha has been awakened in the space around us and within us as well. So in this space, we begin to offer our prayers. And again, as we've practiced in the past, when we hear prayers being offered, we connect to the energy of the prayer, to the need, to the desire of someone to be well, to be liberated. We also connect to our own desire to be well, to be liberated. As we used to say growing up in church, to be delivered, right? To be delivered from suffering. Connecting to that need for ourselves, connecting to that need for all those that we care about and love. Feeling that, and then finally releasing, offering this whole experience into this spaciousness, emptiness around us that is the consciousness of Medicine Buddha, or the great healer. So we offer these prayers tonight on behalf of our collective, on behalf of those who are not here to offer prayers. Begin by offering prayers for Brenda, and prayers for self-forgiveness. And continue to offer prayers for my son Kevin and my family. And offer prayers for self-acceptance, for my grandfather who has cancer and my family who is caught in samsara. We offer prayers for those in the grips of despair. Offering prayers for all of the children who are going back to school and those still at home. May they be safe and healthy. And prayers for people stuck in unhealthy home and work situations during the pandemic. May they find relief. We offer prayers for persons mourning loved ones whose lives have passed unexpectedly. Prayers for my family as we lost a family member unexpectedly this week, that his passage to the ancestral lands be peaceful and that those of us remaining on this plane find healthy ways of grieving. Offering prayers for Lexi, her deep-seated fear and holding her while she works with insomnia and sleep paralysis. And offering prayers for Elsie, who's 96 years old with spine cancer, and her loving daughter, Joyce, with Krana for lung cancer, Aviva Keller for leukemia treatments, Gabrielle and the loss of her daughter, Lisa, now in the Bardo, Miriam, Roger, and Esther, and the loss of Anna, who is now in the Bardo. Prayers for my friends, Ellen, whose mother passed recently. Prayers for my mom, who is in the hospital with hallucinations and aggression to staff. Prayers for myself, for soul weariness. Prayers for Michael and Jerry, who have various health issues. Prayers for two of my friends who lost loved ones due to COVID. Prayers for a close friend who lost his friend due to cancer. May those who have passed through the spirit realm with light and ease. Prayers for all those living with COVID. Prayers for Victor, 4 months sober, for his progress and growth to continue. Prayers for me. Prayers for me to believe in myself. Prayers for all unhoused folks to be safe and well through the end of this winter. Offering prayers for justice, true transformation, and accountability. Prayers for deep, lasting healing of communities. Prayers that the harm caused by all forms of violence of the border be transformed and healed. Prayers for my eye surgery soon, that everything goes well. Prayers for Patrick, may he find safety within himself and within his environment. May he come to know the goodness of his being. Prayers for my mother, Iris, may she be well. I offer prayers for John McFall in the last stages of cancer, who's currently in hospice. May he have a peaceful transition, and for the health and well-being of his family as well. Offer prayers for Mike for deep well-being, happiness, and joy. And I offer all the prayers that are unarticulated, but that still remain strong within our hearts and minds, to be offered in the aspiration that all beings, including those we're praying for, be liberated, delivered from suffering into ease, expansion, openness. I pray for all beings passing into the Bardo spirit realm, that they may have easy transition and passage, that they may continue their work, their journey towards awakening. We pray for all beings in this realm, all beings struggling with systematic injustice, famine, disease, war, houselessness, poverty, hunger, sickness, lack of access to resources. And that in the very spirit of the tradition of Medicine Buddha, who was a being who worked tirelessly, lifetime after lifetime, to heal the suffering of beings. That in the spirit of Medicine Buddha, we pray for the healing, liberation of all beings from a state of deep discomfort into a state of complete liberation. We offer everything into this expression of Medicine Buddha, this awakened consciousness. And we let go. So we can return our attention back into the space around us, and we begin to call into our space all the beings who love us, who care for us, who want us to be safe and free and happy. all the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, all deities, our ancestors, all our teachers and guides and mentors and elders. We evoke the earth under us. We evoke anyone, any being, even if we don't know who these beings are, but we invite them into the space around us to begin to create the circle of care around us. And slowly they begin to radiate the energy of care to the space around us, and we can experience this energy in whatever way feels appropriate. We can experience it as light, as warmth, whatever feels creative and appropriate for you in this moment. That energy begins to be radiated, this energy of care, of love, into the space around us. And slowly we begin to be wrapped by this energy. And in this radiation expression of care, we slowly begin to absorb, drink in that energy deep into our bodies. And in this drinking in, I wonder if you can allow yourself to be really, really cared for, to be really tended to. And in a way, I wonder if you can really let go of the ways in which we do not feel as if we deserve to be cared for, that we're good enough to be cared for. We let go and just let ourselves be so deeply tended to. As we're being deeply tended to, we also begin to reflect on this deep love and this deep experience of being tended to as one of the many ways Medicine Buddha, Menla Sangye, is also manifesting for us, trying to care for us as well. So in the first part of our practice, we'll continue with or begin the mantra on Teata Om Bekense Maha Bekense Raza Sumongate Soha. Then the second part of practice, we'll move into another little more subtle practice. And our first practice, as we move into the mantra, which is found also in the chat box as well. You can chant along or just sit and listen. But in any case, just continuing to deeply drink in this energy of care and knowing that this energy of care, the way it's tending to us, is also at the same time an expression of the enlightened mind of Medicine Buddha. O Teata Begenze Ma Begenze Lanza Sumungate Soa. O Teata Begenze Ma Begenze Lanza Sumungate Soa. 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 Teata Begenze 제하자 온배연세 배연세 마배연세 라스수문가제수아 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 제하자 온배연세 배연세 마배연세 Begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razu sumun gaze suha, teacha, begenze, begenze, ma begenze, razu sumun gaze suha. Teaza begenze, begenze, ma begenze, ranzu sumungaze soa. 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 So returning our attention to all of our benefactors around us, we begin to imagine that they dissolve into white light, and that white light is absorbed into our heart centers. When that white light is absorbed into our heart centers, we imagine that that light begins to circulate through our whole bodies, and our whole bodies are filled with this light of the deepest love for who and what we are from beings that love us the most. We begin to glow and radiate like a star, like Mother Tara herself illuminating the darkest skies at night with her light of compassion. And in this radiance of light, we return our minds back to our heart centers. We begin to imagine that Medicine Buddha, our expression of the great healer, begins to appear right within our heart center. We can see maybe an image of Medicine Buddha in our heart centers, or an expression of our understanding of the healer, or just have a sense that the healer, Medicine Buddha, is appearing within our heart centers. And you can choose to stay right here where we are in the practice at this moment. But if you have the capacity, I invite you to go a little further with me. If any of this feels uncomfortable, please come out of the practice. But to go further, I invite you to imagine that this white light that's radiating from our bodies slowly begins to dissolve our physical bodies. And that all of this light of care, compassion that's dissolved our physical bodies, all gets absorbed down into the medicine Buddha. And what's left in place of our bodies is just an expression of medicine Buddha. That essentially we are medicine Buddha now. And slowly we begin to imagine that even ourselves as medicine Buddha begins to dissolve into the emptiness and space around us. And as this happens, our awareness is released, begins to mingle and expand with the boundless space around us, within this essence of emptiness itself, resting everything completely. Just allowing the tone of the chimes to bring us back into the space, back into our bodies, shifting our attention to the seat. Letting the seat hold us as we come back into the body, as we come back into this time. Taking a few deep inhalations and exhaling that. I'm just kind of using these breaths as cleansing breaths as we kind of let go. Offer out anything that feels stuck or heavy or left over. Imagine that everything that we release in the out breath is an offering out. Is the essence of the great healer of Medicine Buddha. And so we will transition now into Shantideva's prayer. You'll find right in the chat box. We'll begin. We'll recite this 3 times. We'll begin. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and all the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the balanced creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be a source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. And finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. Thank you all so much for your practice tonight. And again, this session, this recording is available for you to come back and watch whenever you need. So I'm just going to look at this one question that's been offered by Sarah the Pines. So if you have time, if you want to stick around, how do we make sense of multiple realms with other beings in them, and even having a relationship to this? Where is this teaching from, and how can I go deeper into it? This teaching is indigenous teaching. many of us are disconnected from indigeneity because of systems of oppression and, and capitalism and colonization, settler culture and imperialism. Like, we've been so deeply disconnected from a deep authenticity. We've been disconnected from the earth. So if you dwell with the earth, with the energy of the earth, really the energy of all the elements, then you dwell deeply with the multiplicity of realms and beings. There are beings connected to the physical world. And that's a teaching it's just wisdom. That teaching just comes, these are the oldest teachings. It doesn't come from anywhere. It comes from deepening into our consciousness. And when you deepen into the consciousness, you become aware of everything around you. At least, well, mostly it's a lot of things around you, maybe not everything. And how do you go deeper? You go deeper by going deeper into the mind. Like, you go deeper into the self, deeper into the heart, deeper into the mind, and then you begin to develop a consciousness and awareness of everything around you. You're already aware, but these systems of oppression that's disconnected us from connection to the earth makes it really difficult for us to develop this sensitivity to the multi-dimensional world. And these teachings are in Buddhism. I mean, Buddhism is where Buddhism gave me the permission to touch into this reality. Like, all the practices, particularly in Vajrayana Buddhism, it's about us and everyone and everything, about all the different kinds of realms and spirits and beings around us. All of my teachers talk about different kinds of beings and being in relationship to them, and ancestors are another example of the different kinds of beings that exist around us. We occupy physical space full of beings. I have this. I just moved into this house, and it's full of spirits. Most of the time they're confused by me, but I can sense them. I can feel presence, because I've developed a deeper awareness of my own mind. And it's okay. It's not something that's scary. It's not like a horror movie, even though this is a talk for another time. There are ways in which we're deeply victimized by disembodied beings. That's another talk. This talk is about just opening up to the reality of multiple beings around us. And it's not, it's all kinds of beings. And it's fun, it's fine, it's great, depending on your abilities and your belief in this, you can create relationships with beings and you begin to help. Beings begin to help you, you begin to help them. And that's what we're doing in these sessions every Monday. Like, we're extending help to countless beings, in ways that we're not even aware of. So, read more in Tibetan Buddhism. Read about the 6 realms of existence. Read about the demigods, or the gods and the demigods, and the human realm, and the hungry ghosts, and the animal realm, and the hell realm beings. There's a whole wide range of paranormal psychology, literature, and research, and practitioners. That's great to get into. There's indigenous, Native American, or just native cultures. The Druids, for instance, if you're in the UK, right, or wherever you may be in the world, there's indigenous-based religions and spiritualities that have a deep relationship to the unseen world, which is great. It's fantastic. Spending a lot of time outside near old trees. Old trees are interesting as well. The physical world, particularly the physical world around us, trees, rocks, have different attachments of beings. Whenever you're walking outside or hiking, whenever you see something that looks weird, that is an intuitive thing that's actually alerting you to a reality that thing is associated with other beings. What's another way to say that? Like when you look at a rock formation, and we look at a tree, in particular, you're like, oh, that's a weird looking thing. That is a sign that there's some being there. There's a disembodied, a very powerful disembodied being there. That's a hidden intuitive sensation that we've been disconnected from. And so when you look at, I guess, for instance, indigenous native cultures here, these sites, these places of, a particular aesthetic, these places that looked interesting were usually sacred sites because these places corresponded to a particular, relationships to some being. So so in Tibetan Buddhism, Vajrayana, we have nagas. Nagas are these human serpent creatures that you find in other cultures as well. But in Tibetan culture, these nagas, these serpent beings are, they're not necessarily enlightened. They're just beings, but they're very powerful. But these beings are associated with trees and water sources. They're associated with caves. They're subterranean. If you read the mythologies in Tibetan Buddhism, they protect things. So enlightened masters give them things to protect. I had a friend years ago who had a particular ability to see nagas, which was really fascinating. And even went to Nepal and Tibet to study, what this gift was. And she saw it as a gift. It was definitely a gift but she could never talk to them, but she could see these beings. Many people, you'll be surprised, have different kinds of abilities to intuit different things. This is one of my favorite subjects. I can go on and on and on about this. But Tibetan Buddhism, I've written about this before in one of the magazines, one of the Buddhist magazines, but Tibetan Buddhism actually helped me to cut through my fear of the unseen world, of disembodied beings. It gave me a kind of agency that I could be, that I could protect myself, that I could communicate, that I was also protected as well by other unseen beings too, in which we all are. We all are all. It doesn't matter who you are, you're being protected. Now, granted, some of these beings aren't. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're being protected by. What's the nice way to say this? But I'll just say this: some of us are surrounded by gods, others of us are surrounded by demons. I'll just say that. And boy, do I know when people are surrounded by demons. I go the other way. I'm like, nah, I don't need to. I don't need to know you. There's a particular way in which demonic beings function and operate and draw energy from people that they're attached to. So that's so anyway, anyone. Thank you, everyone. I won't go any further. Some of us are not ready for this conversation. So thank you all so much for your practice tonight, and please continue to practice and continue to pray, continue to trust the practice. No matter what is happening in the world, no matter what we're dealing with, no matter what we're struggling to understand, at the end of the day, just trust the practice, right? Trust the medicine Buddha, trust Tara, trust whatever you're practicing, trust the Dharma protectors, trust Cha, trust whatever it is you're practicing. Just trust the practice, relax into the light, surround yourself with beings who love you, as we do, most times in our sessions together. Just rely on the help that's already present around you, and you'll be okay. But as we move deeper, and this is going to be part of my work and this year, is I want to invite us deeper into a relationship with the unseen world, because everything is interconnected. Climate change, systematic injustice, it's all related, and we have to start pulling on the help, relying on the help that's being offered to us from these other realms of being. Mindfulness is not going to save the world. I hate to say that, I really do. It breaks my heart to say that, but mindfulness isn't enough to handle the complexity and the nuances of a world that is much more than we understand it. Secular mindfulness is devoid of the sacred, and we have to turn our minds back to the sacred in order to move through the darkness of this time. So this is much more. It's much more than just being mindful and focusing and practicing attention and doing whatever we do in mindfulness, right? It's more about evoking energy now. We have to start calling energy into the physical realm, energy that's waiting to be called, beings that are waiting to be remembered, old beings, old deities, old benevolent beings who are ready to be remembered because they have something to offer us, to help. And then also, because of the nature of spiritual warfare, there's also the dark side. And the dark side is also being evoked by beings and people. I used to be out. This is the last thing I'll say. Then I'm gonna wrap up for tonight. But I used to be. Thank you, Amelia, for that article, Unseen World. Yeah. I used to be terrified of the unseen. I used to be terrified of ghosts and demons and all these other beings, and then I came into Dharma, and I came into the Vajrayana, and I just started connecting to Tara and Chenrezig and Mahakala, Sixth Form Mahakala, for instance. These really intense energies that were benevolent energies that were waiting for me to embrace them, and that embracing of these energies, these practices created this protection, that I don't feel alone or isolated or victimized by the unseen world, but it has taken trusting that I am surrounded by beings who love me, who want to protect me. I know this is really uncomfortable territory for many of us, but I think, again, we're uncomfortable because of the ways in which indigenous wisdom has been disrupted for us in our communities. We're disconnected from indigenous wisdom. We're disconnected from our bodies as well because of the trauma of systematic abuse and power and systems of power. It's made us worshipers of the material world. We've become addicted to the material world. And we're stuck in the material world until we die. And then we die and we realize that we are immaterial. We're energy, right? But when you get really still, you can sit and listen to how the unseen world is communicating with you. It's talking to the beings who are just talking to you all the time. But we don't know how to listen because we're never still enough. We don't trust the shit, and we've been, we call it all kinds of things like superstitions and mythology. And I do too. I say mythology all the time. But when I use the word mythology, it's not creating doubt. When I say mythology, I just talk about the stories, right? But mythology doesn't apply to the realness of what we experience in the moment when we begin to listen to the voices, to the energies. That's not mythology. And the communication is very subtle. It's extremely subtle. And maybe the communications and visions and signs and impressions and sensations. So, in any case, thank you all again so much for showing up. And I hope I didn't scare any of you away, but such is life, isn't it? So thank you, everyone. Please join us Wednesday night. I'll be offering the Wednesday night talk for Burmese Parsha, and we'll be starting at 8:30 again on Wednesdays. I have those of you who are in Love and Rage, we have a practice session on Wednesday. So I'll be leaving there and coming to the talk. I'll be there. All right. Actually, cool. All right. Love you all.